Sorry if you hear dogs barking. We have some very enthusiastic dogs next door, and they bark all day long. Even if you just make a noise of like putting a cup down, they start barking. So it's like not the best for doing Zoom calls and things like that. But anyway, um, Gina, welcome also. Um, so wonderful to see you all. I'm going to open the chat window as well. Um, it feels like it's been a little while. I don't know if it has, but maybe a lot is just happening lately in life. And, autumn, uh, the autumn season, while in the Northern Hemisphere, I also think in different hemispheres because I'm working with some people in Australia right now, and they're talking about, this the summer days starting to arrive. And I'm like, okay. Um, but this time is supposed to be one of, grounding and starting to go inward a little bit. But also there can be a lot of movement and a lot of things going on. It's a time, um, for some people, it's a time of festivities, whether it's more now kind of secular type of things like Halloween. Not that that was always completely secular, but there's that. There's things like Diwali. Um, there's Jewish high holidays. I can't think of anything in the Christian calendar at this time of year, but maybe it's just slipping my mind. Um, so busy. And I've been working on just completing the last turns of the wheel to put my album out. So next week, I think it's next week, the next single will come out, and then there's one more single, and then the album will come out in on the 22nd of November. And there's a surprising amount of things to do to make that happen. I never realized how much goes into just releasing something into the world. Maybe, I think once artists become really big and there's kind of every aspect of what they do is managed, maybe it's different. I'm sure it is different. But yeah, in a way, I think I like it also like this because maybe I'm a little bit of a controller, but I like to have my fingers on every aspect. I don't like feeling like things are just being kind of created in a way that I don't get to, see it and feel like I'm on top of it. So before we start, I want to actually I'll show you later because I'll do all the screen sharing all at the same time. I'm going to show you the album cover, which just got final completion last night because there was all these little tiny things that the designer was like, oh, there's a little bump there. I'm just gonna just gonna work on that for a minute. Um, and then of course it has been, as I've been posting about the month of Kartik. And some of you and some who are not present here, but who are within our Patreon little Sanga, were saying that they haven't heard of this month before, and they don't know so much about it. So I thought today I'll share a little bit more, and also feel free anytime to put some questions in the chat, or if you really want to ask it also. We don't have such a big group today, so sometimes in a larger group I do limited kind of unmuting just because it can get a little chaotic. It never really has for us, but I think I have flashbacks to 2020 and all of the interesting Zoom calls that we surely took part in. But yeah, it's such a beautiful month, and at the same time can be something that, if you've never encountered it before, or if you haven't been in sort of a community of practice, it could seem a little bit um, like you're kind of outside the glass or something. That's my feeling of what it might be like. I have the benefit of childhood memories and a time in my life where I was part of a large community, and to perform simple practices of the Kartik month and the meditative prayers was it was a daily communal affair, and there's such a power in having that. Of course, it's something that most people don't have, and I didn't realize how rare that was when I was in it. It was kind of all that I knew at that point of my life. But now, from a different vantage point, I can see how um, yeah, that's a very rare experience, and practicing things alone, or you know, most of the time alone, can be quite challenging. So let's see, where should we start? I think maybe let's do a little bit of kirtan to start, because this is meant to be our kirtan session, and then we can talk a little bit, and we'll take a look also at the Damodarastakam, this prayer that is sung every day. I had some thought in my mind that, oh, we're gonna learn it in the session, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's a long prayer, and if you haven't been familiar with it before, there's a lot of words in that prayer. So maybe we won't learn it, but we can familiarize ourselves with it. And what I find helpful when learning songs or prayers. I'm a very visual person. I'm also an audio person, but I find, especially with ideas and talks and things, it's difficult for me to digest it if I don't have like a ability to visualize. So what helps me usually is verse by verse to have a little picture in my mind to remember what is this verse talking about, even if I don't know the word for word meaning. um, that can take quite a long time to memorize. I mean, I haven't even memorized it now, but there are like key hook words that I remember. Um, like in one line, Muhushchumbitam Bimba, it's talking about the lips of Krishna, that they're red like a fruit, which is called the Bimba fruit. So when I hear that word Bimba, I remember, oh, I've never even seen a Bimba fruit actually, but I can think of a rosy red fruit, a beautiful fruit where you're like, oh, that fruit looks delicious. And then I can imagine this sweet little child with lips that are so beautiful like that. Um, so that was a preview for what we'll try and make time for that as much as possible, and then see what happens from there. So yeah, let us start with some kirtan. My harmonium was in the car. Hopefully it's not too cold. Last night we were in downtown Palo Alto. I don't know how many of you know the town of Palo Alto, but it's like the heart of Silicon Valley. We actually once were just walking to the park, and there was no one else around. It was just a very quiet, like late summer evening, and we just walked on the same pavement past Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, and I was like, that's Mark Zuckerberg. And then I was like, wait a minute, where are we living? It's the heart of Silicon Valley. So once a month, the devotees from the temple here, they do a big outdoor kirtan in downtown Palo Alto, and so that's where we were last night. It was a cool experience. I actually hadn't been able to join it yet since we moved here, and but I've walked on the main downtown street many times, full of restaurants and bars and things like that, and so many people were stopping and filming us. So that's the kirtan I just came out of before I slept. Let's close our eyes. Do 3 ohms together. meditation. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Can sing for a few minutes bhaja, which means worship, praise. Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Very sweet names of Krishna. Govinda, he who enchants the senses so completely that they do not yearn for anything else. Gopal, he's the protector, the lover, the shelter of the cows and of the wandering senses, which are just like cows that wander along the paths and pastures. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Your turn. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Bhaja Govinda, Govinda, Gopala. Govinda, Govinda, Thank you for singing with me. Got a huge cup of tea here. This tune really evokes the simple sweetness of Vrindavan, the place that the beautiful young child, Krishna, grew up and performed his pastimes as a young child and as a young man. And all of these stories are detailed in the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Purana. This is like the most important text. Well, there are a few most important. Bhagavad Gita is another, but within the tradition that I grew up in, the Srimad Bhagavatam is most important and is studied daily, at least if you are in the temple or if you're attending the temple, the class on that text happens daily. D won one of the full set of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We did like a little prize draw at the Castro room, and D got the full set. But I don't think I made it clear that it wasn't just one book; it was a whole box of books. So you got an unexpected gift. Yeah. So within the heart of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is 12 books, actually it's more than 12 books because some of the books are so long that they are split into multiple books, so a part one and a part two. And if you were to look at it like this, within the very heart of the book is Canto 10. So the whole, you could say it's a book. I say it's a text. It's multiple books. The whole text is a conversation between there are actually many different conversations, and sometimes there's been some visuals created to help to understand those conversations because they're kind of conversations within conversations. So say I'm having a conversation with you and then I'm telling you about a conversation that took place between two people. It's kind of like that. But once that happens a few times, you can start to lose track of who's talking to who. But the master conversation is taking place between King Parikshit, who was a king who was in a very unfortunate circumstance in a time period of history where sages and Brahmins, they had the ability to, by the power of mantra and their word, curse somebody, and that curse would actually come to pass. If it was in a rightly used context, that could actually help justice to prevail against someone who was, acting in a terrible way or in a criminal way. But of course, there are stories of that being used improperly. So he was in an unfortunate situation where he was in the forest, he had been hunting, he was very, very thirsty, and he stopped outside the hut of a Brahmin, and there was a Brahmin meditating there, and it was the right of the king to ask anyone within his kingdom, for something that he would need, even though the Brahmin was meditating. I think he asked for the water. I can't remember now. Did he just sit down and it was a disturbance? But I think he asked for water. And the Brahmin didn't move because he was so deep in meditation. But his son took such offense to his father being disturbed in that way that he cursed the king um, to die within 7 days from that time, and that he would be killed by this creature, which was a half snake, half bird. So it could fly in, but it was like it was a snake. And, you know, it was very shocking for the king to receive that curse. Um, Somehow that young boy had the potency to deliver this. But the king, instead of reacting in an aggressive way, in a violent way, in an indignant way, he understood that this is all by the will of the Lord. And so now how will I use these last 7 days of my life? And so he went to a great sage and he asked him, please, he had a lot of questions. What is they sat down by the bank of a sacred river, and he asked him, what is the duty of a man who is about to die? And they had a 7 day conversation, which was not as much conversation. The king would ask a question and then the reply would come. And the replies is what fills this whole Srimad Bhagavatam text. So as he's replying, he's telling stories of great devotees of the Lord and different avatars, different manifestations of the Lord that have come throughout history. So it's full of stories of inspiring people who also, you know, there's a lot of stories of challenges and tribulations that come about. And the idea also is that this Bhagavatam text is like, it's described like um, being like a body, and it's the body of the divine. So it's traditional that when you go in the temple and you take darshan of the form of Krishna or whoever's on the altar, a respectful way of doing that traditionally is that you start at the feet. You look at the feet first, and then you gradually move your eyes upwards. So it's intended that you start reading from the beginning and go consecutively through till the end. That said, the stories of Krishna that are in the middle, in the 10th canto, some of those stories, not all of them, some of them are very, very popular, very well known, and they're told all over the world. And this story that I wanted to share is one of them. I think I gave a longer introduction to that than I intended to, but I do think it's nice to have some context of where this all sits. It's not just sort of coming from nowhere. So within the 10th canto that are the stories of Krishna, it starts with how and why Krishna came to this earth. So Krishna is within the Vaishnava tradition, Krishna is the supreme personality, and he's eternal. He's not bound by any limitation. Yet when he comes to this earth, it's said that was about 5,000 years ago. He played the part, at least initially, of an ordinary child. Not so ordinary, because there was still a lot of very unusual happenings that took place, by which, you know, people around him could start to tell that he was not an ordinary boy. But at least in the sense of his life having a finite, you know, beginning and ending, he didn't die. He disappeared, and that is also explained of how that happened. But there was a moment which he was visible. There was a moment which he no longer was visible, and in that way, it's sort of like a human life and human existence. So the things that he did while he was present, those things are detailed within the 10th canto, the 10th book of the Bhagavatam. And this story of how he got the name Damodar, which is the name of this month, it's another name for this Kartik month, is one of those most beloved stories. So I'm going to ask Nina to give me the hosting back so I can share my screen and I can show you a picture. Thank you. maybe we'll have to continue our study of the song with our next Sanga, because our next Sanga is still going to be within the Kartik month. Okay, this is the song. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, I think I put these pictures consecutively. All right. Here is Krishna, and how he's depicted here. It's an interesting depiction. This is an Indian artist called Ravi Varma, and he was in the early 19th century, I believe, and very influenced by European paint style of painting. So he didn't always depict Krishna with bluish skin. But this is Krishna and his mother Yashoda, and she's doing what she did every day, milking the cows. They were an agrarian society in the village of Gokul in Gokul in Vrindavan, and Krishna's father Nanda Maharaj was the head of the community, and they had thousands of cows. So this was their daily activity. She would milk the cows, and from the cow's milk she would make butter, yogurt, ghee, and all kinds of things, which Krishna famously loved to steal and eat. So I think this story may have happened when he was just slightly younger than this. She was boiling some milk on the stove. On the stove? Wait. A type of stove, an ancient stove, on the fire, I should say, boiling some milk on the fire. And Krishna was demanding to drink milk, to be breastfed. And so she was feeding him. Let me see. Something like this. This is another style of painting from Bengal. It's called Kaligat. And this style of the brush strokes is very distinctive. So he was demanding to be breastfed, and she started to give him milk. But then all of a sudden, she had that sixth sense. Anyone who cooks and knows what this is like, you just know, oh my goodness, the pot is boiling over, and you have to immediately drop whatever you're doing and run and turn the heat, take the pot off. So she sort of dropped Krishna down to the floor and ran to get the boiling milk. The milk was boiling over. And Krishna naturally was not very happy about this. Children don't understand the actions of adults a lot of the time. And he just felt like, you just rejected me, pushed me off your lap. How could you do this? So he thought, well, if my mother is, just leaving me like this, I'm going to do something naughty. And so he went into the cool storage room where they would hang clay pots of yogurt from the ceiling, to hang. This is one way that they get the moisture to leave the yogurt, by hanging it in a clay pot. It becomes very, very thick and sweet. And he thought, I'm just going to steal some. So he grabbed a stone and he was throwing it at the pot to get the pot to break and have that yogurt or butter to start dripping down from the pot, so he could steal it and eat it, and also share it with his friends, slash maybe the other friends who were the monkeys, who would sometimes gather outside the window if they knew something's going down here. So he did that, but after he had looked around to make sure no one was watching. And then he ran away to hide outside. And it said that there were, little buttery footprints going to the outside. So when Yashoda, when she returned and she saw that Krishna was gone, she had again the mother's sixth sense, and she was like, I know where he went. So she rushed into the storage room, and she saw the footprints, she saw the mess everywhere, And she said, Krishna, where are you? And no reply. So she got ready for a bit of a battle. She picked up a little stick that she used to use to threaten him. She wouldn't hit him, but she would just hold it like this. So he thought maybe one day she would, just to tell him, you've been very, very naughty. And she ran outside, and there she saw him, and she started to chase after him. But he was very fast. He was very fast with his little feet. So she was running and running, and she wasn't so fast. Um, it's said that she was she had beautiful belt around her waist that was jingling as she was running, and her hair was beautifully decorated with flowers every day, and the flowers were falling out of her hair. She was starting to sweat, and she was running all over the garden, and she was telling everybody, help me catch Krishna. And let me see if do I have a picture of that? Oh yeah. So she was running and running. Actually, in this picture, it looks like she was just about to catch him. And there you can see other of the ladies of the community watching. They were probably laughing because they loved Krishna so much. Their hearts were overflowing with love. They loved him even more than anything. They would do anything for him, but they also used to play the part of being annoyed or, complaining about him sometimes. So finally, she caught him, and he was also crying because he knew that there's a punishment about to happen. You know that feeling when you've done something wrong, and then my husband was telling me about that when he did something really naughty, and then his mom said, "Wait till your dad comes home from work." And so he hid under the car in the garage, and he just see his dad's feet going past the car, and he just burst into tears because he knew that I'm probably gonna get a really big punishment. So Krishna was crying. Um, they used to put a type of like kohl or eyeliner, medicinal. It's very good for the eyes. They used to put that around the eyes of a child, and so it was all running down his face and making black streaks. And so she caught him and she said, Krishna, you've been very naughty. So to punish you, you don't steal any more butter and yogurt. For a couple of hours, I'm going to tie you to this. Um, it was a wooden grinding mortar for grinding grain. It was a very, very heavy stone. So I'm going to tie you to that so you can't go anywhere. You can't be naughty. You just wait here and, like think about what you've done and wait till you're sorry. So he was crying and saying, no, no. And she said, okay, I'm gonna tie you now. So she took a small piece of rope and she started to tie it around his waist. Let me see oh no, that's the next part. She started to tie it, but she pulled the rope around his waist and it was too short. It was too short. So she asked someone to bring her a little bit more rope. She tied the pieces of rope together, and and she pulled it around his waist, and he's like crying, and she saw again it was too short, just 2 fingers too short, just that little bit. So she was getting a little bit bewildered. She called for more rope to be brought, and then she had a rope in her hair, not a rope, it was like a beautiful decorative piece of cord, like a golden cord. She had it in her hair. She took that out and tied that on, and every time she pulled it round, it was just 2 fingers too short. So Krishna then he saw, and it said that one of the names of Krishna, who has unlimited names, is Bhavagrahi. He's Grahi, he's grasping for only the bhava, only the emotion and the love that is coming from the heart of his devotee. There's nothing else that you could give or offer that has any value, because he doesn't need anything. Everything is emanating from him. He's the source of everything. All he needs is love. And so he could see that his mother, in her frustration and her desire to, tie him up, give him some discipline, that it was coming purely out of love and concern for him. And so he decided, okay, now you're allowed. Now you can complete the the tying. And so only then was she able to, the rope suddenly went all the way around, no problem. So that name, Damodar means one who is bound around the belly. And the understanding there is that that supreme being, that God can only be bound by our love. That's the only way we can reach him, her, is by offering our love. And that has a multitude of variegated ways that it can be offered. So as a side point to this story, and a PS, was that Krishna then, as he often fulfills many things all at the same time, because he's Krishna, of course, he's the source of all, including even the force of gravity. He's the source of all strength. That grinding stone wasn't really going to hold him, but he agreed to be held because, again, it was a reciprocation with his mother. But eventually, he decided to start crawling, pulling this stone behind him. And he crawled through 2 trees that were growing in the courtyard. And because he crawled through and the stone got stuck, as he crawled further, the stone pulled the trees and the trees came down. And these were actually two heavenly beings who had also been cursed and who had been trapped in the bodies of trees for many, many thousands of years. So he freed them in that way. And this is a painting that depicts that story. That's like a PS to the main part of it. Oops, that's where I got all my pictures from. So the song speaks about this pastime, this story, but it also speaks in a more broad sense about the prayer of the devotee to remember this story. In verse 4, the translation says, "O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions," that means a blessing, "I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation." We can unpack that later. "Nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart, for what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?" So if I was to give like a picture maybe for some of these verses, the first verse is describing, the first 2 verses are describing this Leela, this pastime, this story of Damodar, and for the devotees to meditate again and again on what that really means, on Krishna's beauty and charm, and also that he's only attained by love. But even though it's a meditation on the young child Krishna, the first line starts, "Namam Ishwaram," to the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss. That's not something that just describes an ordinary young boy. So there's a lot of it's almost like it's not a contradiction. It's just something that's awe-inspiring and love-inspiring, to imagine that this sweet young boy is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss. And then the verse 3 and 4. Actually, the remainder of the verses offer prayers, really to remember this story, to remember his form eternally, and expressing also how, this is a common thing that's expressed in prayers, how fallen the author is, I'm an ignorant fool, he says, who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows. So please become visible to my eyes. And then in the last verse, verse 8, he offers his obeisance, his pranam, to the rope itself, which binds your belly, to the rope that teaches us this lesson that you can only be bound by love. Then I offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. And I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord who displays unlimited pastimes. Okay, so there's a lot. I'm definitely not the most qualified person to speak on all of this, but I made an attempt, and in a quite short space of time. I would like to know what you would like to do next, because we don't have so much time left. I can sing, there's two common melodies for this prayer. One of them takes longer and one of them goes a lot faster because of the way that it is. We can either sing it together, and I'll probably do the shorter melody and then do some kirtan, or we can just do kirtan and just digest some of these elements. Maybe you can put in the chat what you would prefer to do. Everyone's like, you decide. Yeah, or if you have any questions, we could also, let's sing the song. Yeah. Let's do the short version of the song. Gina, you were asking about the name of the artist. Oh yes, it was Ravi Varma. I'll put it in the, sometimes it's spelled in different ways. Okay, so let's sing the song and do a little kirtan. And yeah, in the meantime, if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. Did I stop sharing? Oh yeah, stop sharing. Let me try and get a good beat for this. Namamishwaram Sajit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Viyoluka Ladhavamana Paramrishtamadhyanta Tato Drutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rajan Varam Bhojayugmena Satankanetram Muhusvasakampa Trirekankakamta Stitagraivam Damodaram Bhaktivedam Iti Driksvalilabhi Ananda Kunde Svaghosham Nimajantam Vakyapayantam Tadiyeshitageshu Bhaktarjitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavritivante Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadin Va Nachanyam Vrineham Vareshadapi Idam Teva Purnata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virastam Kimanyai Idam Te Mukam Bojam Atyantanilai Ritam Kuntalai Snigdha Raktaishcharobhya Muhushchumbitam Bimba Raktadaram Me Manasya Virastam Malam Lakshadabhai. Oops. Idam te, oops. Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalati Mandam Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Batanu Rihane Shama Magyam Vedyakshidrishya Kuberatmajo Badha Murtyaiva Yadva Kayamochito Bhakti Bhajo Krito Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Svakam Me Prayacha Namokshe Graho Mesti Damodareha Namaste Studane Spuradiptidane Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasyadane Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Thank you all for singing. I remembered what I intended to do during the prayer was to all offer a lamp together. How many of you actually saw that note to bring a lamp and brought one? Okay. Well, maybe we should still do it if you have 5 more minutes. So what I was going to do was, let me share my screen again. Sorry that I forgot that. I'm a little tired this morning because we had a very late night. So I had this image. This painting, the original, was actually hanging on the wall in the temple where I grew up. So I used to see this painting all the time. This is by an artist named Murlidhar. And this is, yeah, depicting Yashoda and Krishna. And so traditionally in this month, uh, every day a lamp is offered to this form of Krishna, and sometimes offered to Krishna and Yashoda together, because together they manifest this Leela, which is so instructive and um, inspiring and hopeful, that Krishna and the Supreme Being, by whatever name is most beloved to us, by whatever name we call that Supreme Being, is only bound by love. So everyone can offer love in some way. Everyone has the qualification. Everyone is eligible. And even a child, like my dad used to get us to, when you're out on a walk and you see some nice flowers, he would always say, oh, let's pick some flowers and take them home for the altar. So that idea got embedded that, oh, when you see something nice, you bring it home and offer it. And that's a way of offering love. So simple. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that even if you offer some water or a leaf, if you just offer that with love, that is really what is desired. So maybe we can, those of you that have a lamp, and if you don't have one, we'll just do this for a few minutes. If you don't have one, you can really bring a meditation into your heart of a flame within the heart. This lamp symbolizes our love, so symbolize that flame. And you can even move your hand in this way as if you're holding that flame as you wish. It's sometimes helpful to do the gesture. Traditionally, it's offered in a clockwise circle. And if you want to do the extra traditional way, first you offer some circles to the feet, then you offer some circles to the waist, you offer some circles to the face, and then you do some circles around the whole body. That's the traditional way of offering love. You're kind of loving every part, and then the full picture. So I forgot to prepare my lamp, but I'm going to grab one. Get yours ready. Hey, presto. Okay, so we can do this together and make a prayer together that during this month, whatever we offer, whatever we offer is said to be magnified thousands of times. So may we find a way daily to offer our love in a way that is honest and true for us, but truly from the heart. May we also offer the burden of the struggles, the worries, the anxieties that we carry at the feet of the Lord, because we know that He can pull a wooden grinding stone as a young child. He can lift up a mountain. He can definitely alleviate our burdens and our challenges if we also are offering that with love, saying, please help me. So we can sing together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar Ki Jai. Thank you all so much for remembering to bring a lamp and being enthusiastic to do that. It's really beautiful to share together. And it's said that this day of this particular story happened on the main day of Diwali. I had not heard that before. About 10 years ago, I'd never heard that before, but it is celebrated especially on that day. So that is Thursday coming this week, the 31st, which also is Halloween. So there will be lots of lights, lamps around for sure. Some of them might be in some skeletons and pumpkins, but we can offer lamps especially on that day, remembering this story. And of course, there'll be a lot of other festivities on that day too. So I'll share some more things as we lead up to it. I'm just going to check the chat to see. Jay, I haven't ever done a video tutorial on the invocation, but I can do one. Yeah, I can make a little video. Yeah, a lot of people ask about the lyrics for the words for that invocation, because I've been doing it also weekly at the Kirtans at the Castro Room, and it's always like too long to teach it in that moment, but then I also never get together like have the words for people to read, and so I'm always like, okay. But yeah, it would be really nice to share. I'll share a video and I'll put the text. And just to mention about it is that an invocation, some prayers are universal to different lineages, and some are very specific. Mostly are they're specific to certain lineages. So just bearing that in mind, I will share. And otherwise, thank you all again for being here. I'm going to keep doing my best to share. Well, I've already failed to share something every day, but I'll do it as often as I can. Yeah, Marion, please do share a PDF. That would be great. Oh, I was going to show you the album cover before I go. Sorry, I know we're way over time, but let me show it to you quickly because I did say that I would. Oh, that's the wrong thing. That is my notes for editing one of the videos. Stop. Here's the cover. Yes. So this is going to be on the 22nd of November. So you get an extra early view. And we are, yeah, looking forward. The artist for this is called Rati Sivir. She's a wonderful artist from England who paints she paints using traditional painting techniques from India. And she actually used real gold also around the center part. So I'm really, really delighted how everything came out, and yeah, looking forward to share more. Look out on November 7th. Actually, I'll try and share you a preview before that, but the next song that I'm releasing is going to be I Trust You, which some people heard me sing when I did the tour in the US and we released a live album. That song is on the album. So some people have heard it before, but the studio version is quite different. And I think it's probably the most personal song that I've ever, like, it's the most personal words I've ever publicly shared, because it was a personal prayer, but I thought it could really help others also potentially, to voice this type of a prayer. So looking forward to sharing and hearing what you think, and wishing you a wonderful day today, rest of the day, and rest of the week. I'm going to check the messages. Oh, so yeah, Marion put a PDF if anyone wants to download it. Thank you all again. See you. Oh yeah. Next Sunday at Stanford. Oh my goodness, Maya, you're coming. That's amazing. Wow. That's wonderful. Yeah, if any of you feel like coming over to to Northern California, you can come to Stanford next weekend. On Sunday, we're doing a special Kirtan presentation at the Memorial Church, and Dee will be there as well. Fantastic. We're going to be, yeah, we're doing a rehearsal for that next week, and I'm really hoping that it will introduce also a lot of people to Kirtan. It's in collaboration with the Stanford School of Medicine and Design School, and it's the idea, it's part of a summit called Contemplation by Design, and it's really about the benefits that meditative practices can give to body, mind, and spirit. So looking forward. Okay, thank you all. See you very soon. I can unmute you if you would like to make a joyful noise.
Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri
Thank you. Thank you
Krishna.
so much.
Thank you.
Damodara.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you
See you
soon.
Tuesday.
See you Tuesday, Dee. Thank you.